Hey guys, welcome back. Today I am going to be doing a book video. I'm going to be going through my TBR for 2023. I saw Rachel Catherine on YouTube do 23 books that I want to read in 2023, and I loved the idea, so I'm like, I'm going to go ahead and do that because I don't have a huge TBR just yet. I'm very much a mood reader, so I figured I'll just start with what I have for now. I know for sure this list is going to grow. I'm going to read I'm hoping to read way more than 23 books this year, but this is what I have on the list so far, so I figured I would go ahead and share it with you guys. So the first few that I have on my list, I have actually already read or started reading because it is the end of January now, so obviously I wanted to start as soon as January hit. But the first one that I had on the list is If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nolan. I saw this book on YouTube, just people recommending it, saying that it's one that makes you cry and it'll break your heart. So I'm like, I felt like a sad book. I was in a sad mood, so I went ahead and I read it, and it was very sad. The next one that was on the list was The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. A lot of people, again, have recommended that book, said it was a great, fun read. It was a nice, clean, no spice book, which is what I prefer in my books. I don't like a lot of spice. So it was a very good book. I did love it. I got it from the library, which is why I don't have it. Very much into my library books. Number 3 on my list is The Chemist by Stephanie Meyer. This one, I did start it. I'm about 140 pages in, I think. I personally feel like could still be considered as on the TBR since I have not finished it. I'm liking it so far. It's pretty good. I'm learning that I think I kind of love Stephanie Meyer. Though I've only read, of course, the Twilight books, which was a long time ago, and then The Host, which is like one of my all-time favorite books. I just really enjoyed that book. So I wanted to try this because it's actually an adult fiction. So far I love it because it seems to be very clean. I feel like it's going to be no spice just by what I've read so far. So I'm really enjoying it. I'm definitely looking forward to finishing this book. I'd probably be farther, but quite honestly, I've been exhausted this weekend. I don't know why. So every time I pick up a book and start reading, I start falling asleep. So that's why I'm not any further. Next on the list, which I don't own yet, is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I am also going to be like listing like the series as one book because it just kind of makes a little bit more sense in my mind. I don't want to do that, would take up the whole list, honestly. So I want to read that series. I know the first 2 books are already out, and then the 3rd book is coming out, I think, the end of this year, and I've heard rave reviews. I know she wrote Caraval, which a lot of people loved, which I didn't necessarily love. I liked it, I read it, but not enough to even read the 2nd book. But then I saw a lot of people who didn't absolutely love Caraval love the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. So I want to read those. The covers look beautiful. Definitely on my list of ones to read. I think it was Haley Pham. Sorry if I'm butchering her name, but she's the one that recommended it. When she said that she didn't love Caraval but loved the Once Upon a Broken Heart, I was like, okay, that might be one for me then, because that's kind of how I felt about Caraval. Next on the list is Last Time We Met by Emily Houghton, I'm not sure. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering names. I'm not great with names, so hopefully it's right. But that one I've heard a lot of really good reviews on, and I know it says it's a friends to lovers, which I personally love. I really like friends to lovers. That's just one of my favorite tropes. So I definitely want to read that, and I've again heard a lot of people really like that one, so that's on the list. I had it on the list for last year. I just never got around to it, so it's moved its way to this year. Next on the list, I want to read Never a Hero by Vanessa Len. I read the first book in that series, Only a Monster. Was so good, and then I was crushed when I realized it was a new release, and I was like, I got it from the library, that book as well, but I do want to buy it because I loved it that much. I want to buy it, and I want to buy the 2nd one and all the ones after it. That one was a 5-star read for me. I loved it. It was so good. The concept was so good. It's an enemies to lovers. The main character is a monster. She's not a hero. She's the bad guy, but then she falls for this guy who is the monster slayer, I guess is what you call him. And so it's just the whole story, and it's just, I don't want to say more about it and like the aspects that I loved because I don't want to spoil anything, but very good read. Definitely recommend. So the 2nd book in the series is on the list for sure for this year. As soon as it comes out, I'm snatching it up and I'm going to read it. Next on the list, I have Codename Verity by Elizabeth Wine. This one was a gift for Christmas. that I just haven't gotten around to. And I'm not one, I don't like to have books sitting in the house that I haven't read. I like to know that I've read all the books that I have. So I have a few that I've bought or been given or gifted that I haven't gotten to. And I'm like, I just really want to get those read. So that's why this one for sure is next on the list. It's set in World War II, Nazi-occupied France. Girl's a pilot. She's on a mission, but she gets caught, and so her or her friend are gonna have to be like, only one of them can survive. So it sounds very interesting. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. I feel like it's gonna be sad. I think I said that because I think in my what I got for Christmas video, I talk about this one, and I'm pretty sure I said that too then, that I feel like there's just something about World War II. I mean, come on. It's gonna be sad, but looking forward to that. Next is another one that I've had and just haven't gotten around to yet because I have a reason, okay? It is The Octonumi. It is the most beautiful book I've ever seen, and I just want to savor it when I read it. Oh my gosh. I could stare at the cover of this book forever. I need to read it, but I'm scared to. I'm scared that this story is not going to live up to the expectations of the cover, you know, because I mean, I know they say don't judge a book by its cover, but oh my gosh, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. So, and I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to crack the spine or bend the pages. Like, I'm so like nervous about ruining it. And also I know it's fantasy. That's basically all I know. I think there's magic. I'm not really sure. So I know it's gonna be complicated. So it's just kind of like a task that I need to take on that I haven't gotten to yet. I could just, like I said, stare at it all day. Pretty. After that, I have Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. I read the first one. I read Six of Crows, and I did really like Six of Crows. I think I gave that one 4 stars. So I know I need to read this one. I just haven't gotten around to it. Main reason is it's a bit, I mean, it's not huge, but it's a little bit chunky. It took me a little bit to get through Six of Crows, especially because it's kind of confusing with the world building and all of that. So I'm sure this one will go faster, but I kind of just wanted to get some books under my belt for having read in January. So I just kind of been putting this off. So I need to get to this. After that, I have Mary Jane by Jessica Anya Blau, I think is how you say it. It's just a fictional book. It's not really about anything, but a girl who is from a really strict family and really like controlled family, and she becomes a nanny for a family who's a lot less conservative and just has different ideas and thoughts. And I just heard a lot of people really like the book. I don't know if it's exactly. Truck pulled up and it's usually loud, so we'll give them a minute. So I'm not sure how I'll feel about that one, if it'll be exactly my cup of tea, but it's something different, not a genre I usually read. Figured I'd give it a try. I know a lot of people love it. They say it's a great summer book, so maybe around the summertime I'll get that one and read it. After that, I have Life as We Knew It by Susan Beth Pfeffer. I have this, I actually read the first book, but it's a series. I got this series as well for Christmas. So there are 3 more books and I want to get the rest of them read. I read the first one pretty quick, but the reason why I didn't move immediately onto the second book is because, to be quite honest, it was pretty depressing. It made me so sad. Basically what it's about is this girl and her 2 brothers and her mom live together. There's an event that's happening where they're gonna see an asteroid hit the moon. They're all excited. Oh, this is so cool. We've never seen this before, but it doesn't go very well because the asteroid pushes the moon closer to the Earth. Of course, the moon makes a difference in the location and the gravitational pull and all of that. So when that happens, the world goes into catastrophe. Volcanoes are erupting, there's tsunamis, there's earthquakes. It's just a lot of catastrophe. So then, of course, everyone goes into a panic mode. There's food shortages, there's water shortages, there's no electricity. And so they're like just figuring out how to survive. And it's written as a journal from the girl's point of view. It's very good, but it's really sad. Like you just, and like the authors wrote it amazingly, because like as I was reading it, I'm like, do I have enough food in the house? Like, you're sitting there thinking through, like, oh wait, you have to like stockpile and end of the world prep. Obviously I don't. Things are fine here, but like I was just so sucked in. So the next book in that series is the same time period when everything goes bad, but apparently from a different person's point of view, a guy who lives, I think, in New York with his 2 younger sisters. So it's basically reading the same story again. And I'm like, I don't think my heart's ready for that. I don't think I can handle that, because I did at the end of this one, I did cry a little bit because it was a little bit sad. So I was like, I'm not ready for this. So I just jumped to a different book, but I do want to get back to these. Cause then I think the last 2 are like the 2 of them kind of like get together and work together. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm all counting as one book, the whole series. After that, I have the Atlas 6. Again, this is one I couldn't really tell you what it's about. Atlas 6 by Olivie Blake. A lot of people talk about it. I always see it on people's bookshelves and just one to read. So I figured it would be good to add it. I know it's really lame, but kind of the main reason I want to read it is because my son's name is Atlas. And I had not heard of this book before I named him. So I was like, well, I kind of have to, you know, and see what all the hype is about. I know a lot of people really like it. After that, I have actually 3, I think, really pretty books. First one is Spells for Lost Things by Jenna Evans Welch. I'm pretty sure this is the author who wrote Love and Gelato. I have not read that book either. I am not quick to jump on the bandwagon, to be completely honest. Just because everybody says they love it and they like it's the best thing isn't always enough to get me to do it as well. So I have to hear like a lot of good things and then be curious enough. So I haven't read that. That's on a list, but not this list. So the Love and Gelato, maybe one day. But this one sounded really cute, really sweet, just a nice little romance. It was part of the Barnes & Noble 50% off on the hardback, so figured I'd pick it up, honestly. And I just love that cover. Is it not just the prettiest? Love that. After that, I have Always Jane by Jen Bennett. This one, again, I'm not exactly sure. Well, let me just read what it's about because I'll then know too. 18-year-old chauffeur's daughter, Jane Marlowe, grew up among the domestic staff of a wealthy LA rock producer within reach of bands she idolizes, but never a VIP. Every summer, Jane and her father head to the Sierras to work at the producer's lodge at Lake Condor, a resort town and the site of a major musical festival. The legendary family who runs the festival is the Seraphins, and Jane's had a longtime crush on their oldest son, Eddie, doltish but sweet, but when a long-distance romance finally sparks between them, she doesn't hesitate to cross class lines. But Jane's feelings about Eddie are thrown into question after she returns to the lake and reconnects with his alluringly intense brother, the dark horse of her placid summer plans, a fellow lover of music and hater of the game. Fen Seraphin has been ousted from the family and is slumming it at a vinyl record shop. He burns for Jane like a house on fire and will do anything to sabotage his older brother, even if it means taking a wrecking ball to a multi-million-dollar music festival or Jane's heart. Yeah, that sounds great. I liked the cover. I thought it sounded really cute, fun, you know, a good love triangle. Who doesn't love a good love triangle? It sounded just light and like an easy read. Then I have Violet Made of Thorns by Gina Chen. Again, another just beautiful cover that I just can't get over. I can't wait. I can't wait for my bookshelf and having all these beautiful books put on the shelf. A darkly enchanting fantasy debut about a morally gray witch, a cursed prince, and a prophecy that ignites their fate-twisted destinies. Perfect for fans of The Cruel Prince and Serpent and Dove. That. After that, I have The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. Thriller that I've heard a lot of people talk about. I did actually start reading that on, I use Hoopla, which is connected to our library system to read ebooks or listen to audiobooks and all of that, so I can have free books that I can like borrow, which is really nice. So I saw that on there, so I was like, ooh, I want to read that. That's on the list. Got about 10 pages in, but it was already kind of scary. I don't know if it's like how scary it is or how scary it gets, but it was like late at night and I started it. I was like, let's pause on that. I did order a Kindle, which I'm excited about. It's not here yet, so I'm hoping to be able to read it on that, make it a little bit easier. After that, I have Verity by Colleen Hoover. I'm gonna say something that is probably gonna be super controversial and probably make a lot of people hate me, but so far, I don't like Colleen Hoover. Now, I don't have a lot to base that off of, but I tried to read This Is Us. I barely started it and I immediately hated it, closed it. I had bought the book. I returned it. I was like, I don't want this book. I don't want to read it. I don't like it. I just was not a fan. I especially don't like the amount of language that was in it. It wasn't for me. But everybody talks about Verity. They talk about the twists and the different feelings on the end of the story. And if your team, I think manuscript or letters, I think it is. I don't know what that means. I just know everybody talks about it. They say it's great. I love a book with a good plot twist. I like books with a little bit of thrillerness to it. So I don't know how scary it is. So it's on my list. It's also a book that I can borrow from the library. So I figure that's an easy way. Like if I don't love it, I don't have to finish it, and I don't feel bad because I didn't buy it. So it's on the list, but I don't have high hopes for it because like I said, I already don't love. I know, everyone hates me, but I don't love Colleen Hoover. I'm sorry, I said it. Is what it is. Does not mean that other people who like her are like bad or have bad taste. That's what you prefer. I love Stephenie Meyer. I know a lot of people don't consider her like the best author, but that's what I like. That's what I'm into. So to each their own. After that, I have Never Lie by Frida McFadden. Actually, the next two books I have on this list are recommendations from Sarah Corelli, I think is how you say her name. She recommended Rock, Paper, Scissors. And I loved that book. That book was great. That was a plot twist that I did not see coming, and I would never have picked it up if it was not for Sarah Corelli. Again, sorry if I said her last name wrong. So when she recommended Never Lie by Frida McFadden, she said it had crazy plot twists. It blew her mind. She couldn't believe what happened. I was like, okay, I have to try that one because she recommended Rock, Paper, Scissors. I'm like, Never Lie is probably going to be about as good. So that's on the list. After that, I have Brightside by Kim Holden. Again, recommendation from Sarah Corelli because Sarah Corelli recommended If He Had Been With Me. So that's why I read that one, because she's like, it was really sad, made her cry. I was like, well, let's see. It made me cry. So I'm like, okay, maybe we kind of have a little bit of the same taste. So I figured I'd try Brightside because that's another sad book that she apparently just lost it over. So I want to read that, see if I feel the same way. If it's a good sad book, it's a good sad book. Sometimes you just need a good sad book. But after that, I have a new release that's coming out, I think again at the end of the year, The Brothers Hawthorne by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, which is part of the Hawthorne legacy. I think it's a spin-off. I do agree, I've heard other people mention, I think it was Rachel Catherine, saying that she wasn't sure if it's just gonna be a cash grab, which I'm worried about as well. So I'm not super like, can't wait for it to come out and read it because I'm nervous that it's not gonna be as good as the rest, but we'll see. It's on the list. Hopefully it'll be good. Then the last three that I have on the list are all series, and they're all kind of like if I get to them this year, that would be great. It's kind of like if I don't have anything else to read. If I've got nothing else to read and I just feel like reading something, these are on my list because they're rereads. Series rereads of books that I kind of want to obviously read again. First on the list, I have a weird copy of it, but is Twilight. This is huge. It's like a 2-in-1 book. So this side is original Twilight. This side I think is the Twilight where it was like written as the girl was the vampire and the guy was the human. I read that one many years ago. Didn't love it, which is why I put off reading Midnight Sun for so long, but then ended up absolutely loving Midnight Sun. Highly recommend. That was a 5-star read for me. That was amazing. And because I read that, I'm like, I really want to reread Twilight now. I've not read the whole series all the way through since, I mean, I seriously had to have been like 14, 15, like when I first read them. I haven't read the whole series since I first read them. I've reread New Moon many times because it's one of my favorite. I'm sorry, but Team Jacob all the way. Though Midnight Sun may have changed my mind on that. And if I reread them, I may switch sides. We'll see. Has it ever been done before? We'll find out. So that's on the list. I would love to reread the whole Twilight series. As a 29-year-old woman rereading Twilight, I probably won't like them as much, but I don't care because I really want to just try and reread them. Same situation. I have Hunger Games. Of course, Suzanne Collins. We all know Hunger Games, don't we? So that's on the list to reread all of those books again. Like with Twilight, haven't read them since they first came out, when I first found them. Like a significant time before the first movie ever even came out. So it's probably been a good 10 to 12 years since I've like read the books. Words on these pages. They're like, I feel like they're so big and the spacing's so big. Is it like, I feel like it's gonna take me no time to read them. So I really want to read them again. They just feel like home. Here, I've got the other ones. You know, like they just feel like, look at my childhood. I love it. They just hit a place in my heart. And when I see them, it just makes me happy. Like, I can't wait till they're on a shelf and I can just look at them. And just looking at them brings me joy. Then very, very, very last on my list, and is one that I've been putting off for a really long time. It's a really, really, really big book, really big series. Everybody loves. And I don't know that I will love it. It is ACOTAR. A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I know everybody and their mother and their neighbor and their dog just read these books and loved these books. I'm not a huge fantasy lover. I don't do great with like fae and realms and all that kind of stuff. And fairies, which this book has, I'm not big on that. Like sometimes it just gets too complicated and just too much. And I know that this series is like a commitment. There's a good amount of books, and I know as you get further into the books, they get like huge. They're beautiful. Do not get me wrong. These books are beautiful. Like I've seen them brand new. This is a library book, so that's why it looks a little rough. So like I got it from the library, but it might be going back before I read it just because I have other books I'd rather be reading. But I know everyone loves it, so it's like I kind of have to give it a try because everyone loves it and there has to be a reason why, right? So it's a curiosity, honestly, that's going to make me read this. If I don't love the first book, I'm not going to read the rest of the books. So that is it. That finishes off my what feels like really long list, mostly because I've been talking for a while, but it's not that long. That finishes off my list of my 23 books that I would like to read this year. We'll see how that goes. I'm very interested to see how much I stick to it. I feel like I'm probably going to read a good majority of it. I think the last three, like Twilight, Hunger Games, and ACOTAR, I wouldn't be surprised if I didn't read those. But I feel like the rest I'm going to read, especially the ones that I own, because I'm just very big on reading what I have, reading my physical TBR. It's just what I do. I think it's a little bit of OCD, maybe, or A-type. I don't know, something. There's something going on that makes me want to do that. Just like knowing things are complete, things are finished. And so that's like, if I have a stack of books sitting in my house that I paid for and haven't read yet, that's a no-go. I have to read them. I have to know that I've read them, and then I can put them away where they belong. Of course, if you guys have read any of these books and have any thoughts or feelings or opinions on them that you want to share, go ahead, share them below in the comments. If you have any books based off of like what I'm showing that you think I could like, for sure, drop it in the comments as well. I like knowing what people like, you know, not that I always read what everybody else likes because apparently I'm stubborn, but I like to know. I like to have recommendations. I love to talk books. I love to talk books, which is the main reason why I make these videos, because I don't really have anyone in my immediate circle who loves books. And I figured this is a way for me to scratch that itch, talk about books, gush about books, be excited about book covers and what's coming out next and what's already out and what's a good reread and what's a 5-star and just all of the book things. I love it. So hopefully you guys love it too. I do plan to make a lot more book content because it's just what I really love. I do love doing the vlogs as well, which I'll be doing both, but I do love my book videos. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. And if you're still watching, thanks for sticking around. I know it's a long video and it's just a lot of me yammering on and on. But if you did enjoy it, please give the video a like. I'd really appreciate that. And of course, subscribe if you're not already. And I hope you guys are having a great day. And I hope you're reading some great books. I really do, because there's nothing better. And hopefully I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.
You can say I lost my mind. I will keep on holding my head high. Even if the sky is falling down. Even if the sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling